Hi, everyone. Super excited to talk to you about Convoso Ignite today, our next generation number management for outbound call centers. For today's agenda, we're going to talk through what a changing carrier landscape is, the challenges and strategies on solving them, introducing what Convoso Ignite is all about, and give you some resources as to where to find more information. All right, so let's get started. The carrier landscape all starts with figuring out what the reputation of your numbers are. And some of these tools out there tell you exactly what it shows, scam likely. And the issue is that leads aren't going to pick up if they see that flag on the phone call. Most outbound call centers use flag monitoring systems to see if their phone numbers are flagged. Then your admins take action to identify these flag numbers and figure out what to do with them, whether or not you are getting rid of them, removing them from your system, or you're swapping them to newer, cleaner numbers. So how do most of them work? A lot of these solutions check the reputation at a regular interval. So think of it as like every week, every 3 days, we're going to check what the reputation of this phone number is. And so the way that works is it tends to make a call. We see whether or not the calls come through as flagged or not flagged. What was great about this back in the day was that it was interval based. So it never worked perfectly, but it gave you a good sense as to whether or not it was flagged or not flagged. Let's take an example. Let's take a phone number that you are making 1,000 calls a day. And with this phone number, you can see here, it gets 100 calls answered per day. So that's about a 10% contact rate. It's doing great. You can see it's green. It's clean all the way through. During day 4, we do a check. The DAD or the phone number is clean. It looks great. Within that day, between day 4 and 5, within that day, maybe a few hours later, it starts to get flagged. And now the contact rate drops to 1%, meaning only 10 calls get answered. The next day we do the check is we do it on day 8. And the issue with that is that now we see that it's flagged. So between day 4 and 8, we get only 10 calls answered per day, meaning there's that opportunity cost of 90 days called where it's not answered. That extra 4 days where you're losing out on essentially 9% of contact rate for this phone number, that's where the interval checking is suboptimal. And so what has changed? The carriers now have different flagging algorithms between each other. There's a trend of increased flags for your phone numbers. In the past, all 3 would roughly use the same logic to detect spam or scam calls. So now each one has gotten smarter. They have their own applications. They have figured out different factors that contribute into phone number flagging. And that results into different inconsistencies essentially between the different carriers. AT&T may find it as spam or scam likely, but Verizon may not. Reputation isn't binary. And also there's going to be a spectrum. Maybe this phone number works in this area code, but not this one. And so we go from a very complicated system into a complex system, something that we can measure and understand, but previously before it was a black box. We had no idea. But now we can start seeing the trends. We can measure it. We can anticipate what can come back up. And so some of the challenges and strategies to solve these issues that we're seeing in the carrier landscape. Number management is hard. Managing phone numbers is messy, manual, error prone. And to do this, when you get to hundreds, thousands of agents, it's going to be really tough to do. And so 1, you have to do analysis, figuring out if your overlays are well taken care of, if you're doing your configurations perfectly, if each order that you're doing is going to take a lot of back and forth between your team, between our team, just to make sure that the orders are done properly. And then lastly, to actually use the phone number, it's mundane to make sure that each phone number is allocated perfectly to each area code. The current reputation solutions just really don't work. They're reactive. You do a check, it looks great. You don't do a check for another few days and all of a sudden it's bad. You wasted a few days of optimal performance. Additionally, it's murky. Flagging can happen the next hour, the next minute, and we want to make sure we capture that before you start placing thousands of calls, tens of thousands of calls on that phone number and not realize that you're missing out on potential contacts. Something that we've also seen is that rotating your phone numbers don't work the way they used to. Removing bad numbers is really not enough to protect your campaign performance. phone number health isn't binary. It's not just good, it's not bad. It really doesn't reflect the reality that we live in. Thousands of phone numbers could be used without prioritizing the best performers. So perhaps this phone number may be clean and this one may be flagged, but it could just be for that area code. So you're not really utilizing the best value for that phone number. By focusing on the binary good or bad, you wasted phone calls on phone numbers that essentially were low performing. Let's say this phone number performed really well in a certain area code, but not well in another. And essentially the cleaner flag may not have been a good representation of the performance of that phone number. We're excited to introduce Convoso Ignite. Our goal is to make this your ignition switch for boosts in contact rate and profitability. So let's dive deeper into the 3 key pieces. We'll start off with procurement automation. How do we make number management easy and seamless? Our systems automatically procure and assign the right amount of numbers to your campaigns. We make sure you get your numbers whenever, wherever you need it most. Next, we have phone number health score. So we score each phone number between 1 to 100, reflecting real performance and not just a good or bad rating. Businesses aren't that clear-cut, and neither are phone numbers. So essentially, with the scoring, you know exactly which phone number is working out for you, so you can make the right decision on whether you're gonna gut it or whether you're gonna keep it. And lastly, we have dialing optimization. This is where we use AI to match the right number to the right lead based on multiple factors such as geography, area code proximity, and many other things. So what is the business value? What are you getting with Convoso Ignite? For number 1, for procurement automation, no need to run those weekly, daily coverage reports, trying to overlap them with like usage and area code density. No more wondering whether you have enough phone numbers, too many phone numbers, and worrying about tracking operational costs. We've got that covered. This means you have more time to do the things that brings value. Phone number health gives you the confidence to know exactly which phone number isn't performing well and why. Perhaps before you saw a contact rate of a phone number being at 1%. And one of those things is that it could be performing really well in AT&T and performing really poorly. So if that phone number was consistently calling out to Verizon and it had a poor score to Verizon, you're going to get that low performance. That's where you can finally see why this phone number isn't performing well. So dialing optimization is essentially the bread and butter of selecting the right phone number to that lead. And the goal here is to reduce that flagging rate and increase your contact rate. So that's what you all get with Convoso Ignite. So putting it all together, number management is tedious, and we solve that by automating it all, freeing up your time. Essentially, good and bad doesn't cut it anymore. Another problem, legacy flag monitoring doesn't work well. You lost a lot of opportunity between those few days and without understanding why. The phone number health score, we essentially calculate it as real time as possible, and it gives you that insight as to whether or not this phone number is continually performing well, or it may be time to gut it. And that gives you more confidence in determining your business operations and determining which phone numbers work well. Lastly, number health should be measured across the spectrum, not binary good. And our solution, Dialing Optimizations, uses that perfect scoring and phone number selection to make sure that we reduce flagging as well as increase the pickups from leads. Here, this is a picture of what you would get with Convoso Ignite. Zooming in, on the top left here, we have your DIDs, and you can start seeing your procurement automation. So how many DIDs on a day-to-day basis, even within the day, you can see how many DIDs are being procured within your account. And this lets you know how many DIDs are being used. Next, you can see here we have the phone number health score, broken down by each carrier between AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. And for each carrier, you also get a breakdown of whether this phone number is performing well, good, if it's performing moderate, or if it's poor performing, which is our way of saying that it is highly likely to be flagged. We need data to ensure that we get the right snapshot of how the phone numbers are doing. So here you'll see the unknowns because we're procuring them and it needs to hit a threshold of phone calls to really gauge performance. You're going to see unknowns from time to time. Next, the phone number health score from the aggregated summary view. We also have it broken down per phone number. So you can see here, each row represents a phone number and how well it's performing between all three carriers. So for here, you have AT&T, which is performing really well. Any calls made out to AT&T is doing absolutely great. Our dialing optimization will use this phone number to place calls out to AT&T leads, but won't use it for T-Mobile and Verizon. And that's how robust our system is, giving you that visibility per carrier, per phone number. Let's visualize dialing optimization a little bit and how our system selects that dynamic number. So the old way, everything was either clean or flagged. And here, essentially, anything that was flagged, admins would have to go in, remove all of those out, and re-upload essentially a new list of phone numbers that could be used for the campaigns. It would essentially start using it based on your area codes and go down the line based on number of calls made. So here's the new way. Our systems will dynamically select the optimal one for each unique lead. And why this matters is because that phone number may be performing well because it is clean in that area code. But perhaps if you're using proximate area codes and proximate phone numbers, it may not do well, which is why we don't just choose the one at the very top of the list, which is why you see the ones being chosen, somewhat in that clean spectrum that you see in that green. Convoso Ignite provides you all of these tools to use at your disposal. So you don't even have to think about phone number reputation anymore. We've got that covered, from procurement automation to giving you the scoring per each carrier to dialing optimization, selecting the right number for each lead. And that encompasses all that Convoso Ignite has to offer. If you want to know more, you can learn more at convoso.com. And as always, you can schedule a demo to see how Ignite works in action.